Is the government of Canada using inclusion as a way to exclude prayer and God in Remembrance Day celebrations?
Madam Speaker, last year the Liberals imposed a ban on military chaplains from reciting prayers at Remembrance Day. Chaplains, veterans, and Canadians immediately fought back, and the government relented, well, for a year. But the directive is back. These Liberals are imposing their ideological ban yet again. Remembrance Day is a time for reflection and healing and hope. And for many veterans, praying is part of that journey. Will the government end its attack on the vocation of chaplains and allow them the freedom to pray?
Yeah. L'honorable secrétaire parlementaire du ministre de la Défense nationale.
Madam Speaker, I want to take this opportunity first to thank our members and our veterans for their service and their sacrifice. But let's be absolutely clear. The Chaplain General issued this directive independently, and it does not ban prayer. Actually, the directive simply seeks to help our CAF chaplains make their public addresses more inclusive to reflect the spiritual diversity of Canadians and our CAF members, Madam President.
L'honorable député de Grande Prairie Mackenzie.
After relenting last year, Madam Speaker, the Liberal Minister of Defence promised, and I quote, chaplains are not and will not be banned from prayer on Remembrance Day, but that isn't true. They've now issued an even more draconian order saying that chaplains will be monitored and disciplinary measures will be imposed on those who say the word God or those who pray.
Shame.
This censorship is unthinkable. Will the government finally relent, end their attack on the work of chaplains, and allow them the freedom to pray?
Yeah.
The Member of Parliament for Grande Prairie Mackenzie readdresses the fact that this is something that was actually put to bed last year. That the Liberal Party promised that no chaplain would be told that they cannot mention God or pray during the Remembrance Day ceremony. And for to have it returned this year is a betrayal of that trust. This is something that they promised would not happen again. To ask a chaplain not to mention God or engage in prayer is to ignore what it means to be a chaplain. That is their job, is to pray and talk about God. To ask a person of faith to ignore this fundamental element of their identity is actually very despicable. It's troubling that the federal government thinks it's okay to do this. As a government that totes itself on inclusion, it seems that they don't understand the meaning of that word. What they're actually asking is that these chaplains exclude themselves from that conversation and just come as a blank slate. These people come with faith. That is the nature of being a chaplain. As a person of faith, I don't always come out and say everything I believe, but I also try to make sure I never look like that which I don't believe. And which is to say, I would never deny God. This is something that is part of Remembrance Day. It is something that brings people peace. And when we think about what we're here to do, which is honor the soldiers, the men and women who have put their lives on the line, have gone through traumas, so that we may have a standard of living that is secured by their sacrifices. That leads to traumas and pains, and that is something that people address very often through prayer, by pleading to God for a level of safety and security, for comfort during their despair. And the fact that the Canadian government thinks that they can come in and tell someone that they cannot express what is their religious freedom to do for the sake of their inclusivity is demonstrable. It really is. If you want to be inclusive, then also invite other members of other faiths to come and share their spirituality with us. We can always learn from one another, but when we're told to keep it out, it is nothing more than an act to hide it and tuck it under the rug. You want to be inclusive, include others. Don't tell others to keep themselves out of the conversation. But that wasn't the only attack on Remembrance Day this year. Out in Nova Scotia, there was a school that asked men and women from the military whether veterans or active service members, not to wear their uniforms to a Remembrance Day ceremony.
Today, students across the province will participate in Remembrance Day services in school. This is an important tradition we must keep so students understand our history and value the sacrifices made by our men and women who served. Yesterday, I learned that a school in our province had asked veterans and members of the Canadian Armed Forces not to wear uniforms to the school's Remembrance Day ceremony. Thankfully, once we drew attention to the matter, this poor decision was reversed. But the fact that it happened to begin with is certainly a concern to me. I can't actually fathom how a decision like that was made.
That uniform is worn with pride and honor. This is something that they've earned. It's not a costume. It's not pretend. These people wear those uniforms to represent that they have chosen to give of themselves, that they are willing to give themselves to our betterment, that we may be safe and secure in this beautiful country. And to ask them to leave it at home is to leave the honor that they have earned and that they have worked for, and put it aside so that no one has to feel uncomfortable. If you're uncomfortable with the sight of a uniform wearing soldier, then you don't understand what they had to do to wear that, what they do while wearing that. These people deserve our respect and the highest honors that we can give them. And to ask them to leave it at home is again another case in which in Canada, we are seeing people told to leave themselves at home to fit into a larger, broader community. But what does that community have if it doesn't have the character of these chaplains and these soldiers there to bolster it up? They are the best of us, and they shouldn't be told to hide that from us. Thank you for watching.